On a hill overlooking Hebron in the occupied Palestinian territories, foundations are being laid for a building, for an institution, maybe even a state, albeit one still in waiting. Canada is spending $32 million on the project, a new courthouse for the city to serve an estimated 350,000 Palestinians. It follows a line dating back to the mid-2000s when funding from Ottawa focused on fostering an independent judiciary in anticipation of an independent Palestine. But today, these building blocks are just as easily a symbol of a dream in retreat. Hebron University, home to about 10,000 students and to a college of law. Most of the students here will have been born after the 1993 Oslo Accords were signed, committing Israel and the Palestinians to a peace process. Dr. Mutez Kafishi founded the College of Law, a former dean still teaching. He says the fledgling institutions of statehood, including an independent judiciary, have been allowed to atrophy.
People have to wait years in order to get their rights for small conflicts, landlord, tenants issues, criminal cases, family issues. So for this delay of justice, as we say, delaying of justice is denial of justice.
Ask Kafishe's law students where the problem lies, and the answers are myriad. Outdated legal traditions in Gaza and the West Bank, nepotism, corruption, and always, but always, an Israeli occupation they believe has no end in sight.
Who thinks that there will one day be a two-state solution to the conflict? Three. Who thinks it will not happen? Okay.
Hebron is the largest Palestinian city in the occupied West Bank, but also one of its most troubled. Some 700 hardline Israeli settlers live in what used to be the city's old quarter. Emptied out and protected by Israeli soldiers, and a buffer zone pockmarked with checkpoints. There are more typical Israeli settlements on the hills around Hebron and on the road to Jerusalem. There are now more than 600,000 Israeli citizens living in settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem. The settlements are considered illegal under international law, and governments, including Canada's, see them as a major obstacle to peace. But nothing the international community has said or done all these years has convinced the Israeli government to stop them. Some of the messaging from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during last month's election campaign. He played up his relationship with the U.S. President Donald Trump, hinting he would have Washington's blessing for an election pledge to annex West Bank settlements, a popular message for some voters.
I think we have an opportunity with Donald Trump, who supports so much Israel.
In 2017, Trump shifted the ground by recognizing Jerusalem as the Israeli capital, moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv, something Canada's Andrew Scheer has said he'll do if elected. It breaks with the established consensus that the fate of Jerusalem, divided or not, would be decided as a part of the peace process. Political scientist Reuven Hazan says Israeli society has moved on and to the right.
We've seen the end of the left when the left is defined as a dovish, security-based left. Because we're 25 years after the Oslo Accords, most Israelis do not believe that the Palestinians want to live side by side with us in peace.
That doesn't mean that all Israelis support annexation of the West Bank. But it does mean more Israelis are asking whether or not the occupation, now in its 52nd year, might not just be sustainable. Dawn at Kalandia, the main checkpoint between Ramallah in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Israel says it needs the checkpoints and what it calls its security barrier to prevent attacks against Israelis. About 9,000 Palestinians cross here every day for work, to visit family, or to pray in Jerusalem. The Israeli army recently installed facial recognition technology here, and we've been given a rare opportunity to film. The army eager to show off what it says is a major improvement for Palestinians.
We give them all the opportunities, all the ways.
There's no doubt they've shortened wait times. This is what the lineups used to look like. Now, Palestinians who've been approved for biometric cards pass quickly. Just another border, says Major Alicia Hanukaya.
If they have a permit.
If they have a permit, of course, you know, like me and you, if I don't have a visa to go to United States, I can't get into United States. It's like all the world.
It's like nowhere in the world, though, because there aren't two countries, there aren't two states.
I don't speak with you about the political, I'm talking with you about the people who is living here.
The disconnect is obvious. This 53-year-old man says they're trying to beautify the image of Israel. It's a marketing technique to make Israel look peaceful, he says. It's improved by 99%, says this steel worker of the time it takes him to cross. But it bothers us because we should have the right to travel freely in Palestine. The speed gates, as they're called, are now operating at 9 Israeli checkpoints. New technology applied to a very old story, say the critics.
We've been providing our biometrics to the Israelis before they've invented this technology.
Dr. Mudar Kassis runs the Human Rights Department at Birzeit University near Ramallah. In 2005, he co-chaired a program funded by Ottawa that saw Canadian judges mentor Palestinian counterparts, more state building.
The main problem with Oslo that it was not addressing the problems. It was pretending to address the problems. The main issue for the Palestinians is a very simple issue. It's called the right to self-determination.
That right seems even further away in Ramallah, despite the shiny headquarters home to the Palestinian Authority, part of it a shrine to the former Fatah leader Yasser Arafat. Support for the PA, created in the years after Oslo, is frayed. Arafat's successor, Mahmoud Abbas, enjoying a shadow of the support he once did. 80% of Palestinians say the PA is corrupt, and most want Abbas, now in his 80s and ruling almost exclusively by presidential decree, to go. But Mudar Kassis warns the alternative could be dangerous.
Look, let me tell you something frankly. I am more leftist than to support the Palestinian Authority. But I fear the delegitimization of this authority because the alternatives are awful. The alternatives are chaos, violence, political Islam. The alternatives do not involve freedom.
Where then lies the future? Not in endless occupation, says Dr. Kafishe back in his Hebron Law School, but not without internal reform either.
Having one man deciding for the entire state, I think will lead us to nowhere. Yeah.
A handful of his students believe a third intifada is the answer, while others say it lies in these halls and the forging of a meaningful rule of law. These are the images of what the Hebron courthouse should look like when it's finished. The blueprint for a two-state solution is also still hanging in the air, the one the international community, including Canada, pays lip service to. For now, it remains an empty shell. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Hebron.